Yeah, so anyways, what are we talking about? So anyway, so now we're in the situation where people on the forum, these same people, are just on the attack relentlessly. Anybody says anything like, you know, people will say, hey, I love this game, but like the situation lately has made it so it's very difficult to play. And I used to have a group of people that I played with all the time, and no one's interested anymore in playing. And does anyone know when they'll straighten some of this out? Because I want my friends to come back and play and la 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 la, that kind of thing. And these people on these forum defenders or whatever, I don't know who they're more like vigilantes. The forum vigilantes basically will, jump on that person, like for reasons that I just simply cannot understand. Like why you would attack somebody who had that comment. Like, hey, like I love the game and I used to play with all my friends, but because it's been so weird lately, nobody wants to play. When do you think they'll fix this so that I can convince people to come back? And the vigilante's response will typically be something along the lines of, like, nobody cares if you and your friends play. If your friends aren't playing, it's because this game isn't for them. If you don't want to play because your friends aren't playing, then this game probably isn't for you either. You know, like maybe you should go find something else to play that's easier for you. You know, and it's like, um, you know. And as I'm talking, I'm realizing something because there's a theme that I kind of suspected, but like I hadn't really given that much thought to. And as I'm speaking about this, I'm realizing that these vigilante guys all have a very similar outlook to one another. And I think I know what it is because I used to be that guy in a way. And like I'm gonna go into a little bit into my history playing DayZ, um, by way of explanation here. So when I first started playing, didn't know anybody, didn't know anything about the game. Obviously, just jumped in and started playing. And once I got used to it and started playing a little bit, I started exploring the map and figuring out how to get geared and do my thing. But I still didn't know anyone. And every time I encountered somebody, it always seemed to end up in a gunfight that I typically lost because I wasn't really looking for that. Didn't have any DayZ mod experience at the time or anything. I just come in, I have my little backpack on and run around, and a bullet would come out of fucking nowhere and I just die. Like seemed to be like what happened all the time. Or I'd have somebody yelling at me to get on the ground and I'd just say screw that, book it, and then get a bullet in the back. That it just seemed to be the standard kind of thing that was happening. And so this kind of pushed me ever farther away from populated areas. I began to really spend a lot of time up in the north. Really getting around, like, so the western edge of the map, avoiding the airfields and the coastlines and stuff. This is back when the Northeast Airfield was actually a thing, rather than the weird civilian airport that it is now. Um, there's this misuse of the word Bambi. You know, Bambi means a player that doesn't know what he's doing. He's like fresh, completely lost, and can barely stand up on his own. You know, but in DayZ standalone, there are very few Bambis, very few. There are lots of fresh spawns, but a lot of times fresh spawns are some highly experienced players who are trying to get over on you every second of every, day. So like you see a fresh spawn and you could say, oh, defense is Bambi, and if you shoot that guy, then you're an ass. But you could also acknowledge the reality that 9 times out of 10, when you see a fresh spawn, that is a murdering bandit killer who just died, and is respawning, heading on his way back to go cause more trouble, and will take any opportunity that he can find to, kill you and take your crap, which really changes what he is. At the very least, even if you're not going to kill him, you got to treat him with utmost respect and keep him at a distance. I've had no end of fresh spawn players, and everybody who plays DC knows this, but I mean, I've had no end of fresh spawn players who will murder you at slightest opportunity. And a lot of them, if you treat them kindly, like, and just kind of do a, yeah, here, I'll help you out a little bit, but you need to keep your distance, and like, you're just being civil and being a cool player with them, they sense it as weakness. A lot of these guys, they see it as weakness, and they'll like, oh, well, let me hang out with you, and then the first time you turn your back to them, they hit you in the back of the head with a sledgehammer or something, and take all your shit and laugh at you and teabag you while they're doing it, even though you showed them nothing but kindness. So the idea that like even people who are killing fresh spawns down on the coast, that they're somehow evil, that's wrong. A lot of times those fresh spawns friggin' need to be killed. I'll be straight up honest, you know. And to say otherwise is just simply not to. It's not acknowledging the reality of the game. Sorry, sorry, anti-KOS people. The reality is you're all such little pricks that you have to be killed. That's all there is to it, you know. But secondly, to assume that every player who's armed and geared up and shooting at other people that's all they do and all they want to do, and that somehow defines their play style, that's completely wrong. What? Oh, do they need to fix this quiet stalker zombie bullshit? God damn it. What I'm really getting to is that there was this time before I went and like ballsed up basically and went down to the coast and started meeting people and learned to stop caring about my gear, started looking at my gear as like a burden, which I believe it is. Gear's just a burden that gets killed. Um, you know, Once I learned all those things and learned how to play with others and do all this kind of stuff, the game changed for me. It became, significantly better and more enjoyable. And but there was a time where I didn't know those things. You know, I thought that the correct way to play was to go hide in the woods, and that large groups of people were somehow an indication of evil, or there's something wrong. You saw a group of people that was somehow a negative thing. These are not good people, basically, is what I, used to think. And I recognize in these vigilantes, these foreign vigilantes, I recognize that in them. You can see it in them, and in what they're talking about, what they're saying, is that they think that groups of people who want to run around and interact with other people and be able to do things are very one-dimensional. They think of them apparently as just, like I just want to kill and shoot people, and I can't do that, so I'm mad because the game has become hard or something. It's become too hard, so now I can't just run around and shoot people and be an asshole the way I want to be, you know. And quite understandably, their reaction to that is like tough. Too bad for you, dude. Too bad. So sad that you can't do that. Why don't you toughen up and learn how to play properly and blah 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 blah. But the thing is, what they're not understanding is because they don't play with people, so they don't actually know what they're talking about. When they say, when somebody complains and says, none of my friends want to play anymore, and so I'm bummed I don't really want to play, and they're like, well, then this game isn't for you. It's based on the fact that they don't play with people, and they don't understand how fun DayZ is to play with a group of friends, And so they don't understand. Yeah. So these people, they don't understand how much fun it is to play the game with your friends, and that playing with people does not indicate that you're being a murderous KOS bandit bastard. It just means that you're having fun with your friends and exploring, again, DayZ is, if nothing else, about player interaction, about being with people, and about socializing. And the core aspect of survival is not any survival mechanism. It's people. There's no item of survival gear that you can possibly get that would confer an advantage greater than being in a group of people in real life. People are what guarantee your survival more than a compass or a flint or a survival knife or a fishing line or a gun or a blade or anything. It's people. People are the ultimate survival tools. And in a game like DayZ that's all about survival, people are the critical component. And if you're playing and not playing with others, um, well, then you're missing out. Quite frankly, you're freaking missing out on what the game is all about. And there are a lot of people who are doing that every single day. And that's their right. They can play however they want. If they want to miss out on the core component of the game, go for it. Do your thing. Who am I to judge? Can I have some wood, please? Yeah, is there some wood here? Anywhere? you know, yeah. So if they want to miss out on the core component of the game, and that's what they want to do, then you know, basically freaking have at it, dude. You know what I'm saying? You do you, basically.
I don't know where right here is. That's not a geographical location, Jason.
Yeah, you're just really bad at that, aren't you?
Yeah, I see scuds. Oh, apple tree. Apple tree. I like apple tree. Apple trees are amazing. I like apple trees because they're really cool. I found nothing. Is this really worth it?